So I'm going to read this one for you. The poet is artificially replaced, amputated by the instability of simultaneous groupings of panoptic illusion, contemporary projections of the human aesthetic, impatience with beauty. The cyclicity of these poetics is a negative feature. Massive overemphasis, theory compounded on theory, original formations and interjections are met with relaxation, secondary importance. The position of classification is a struggle. The whole, the absurd whole, has itself entered into the study of poetic tropes, usually directed chiefly towards metaphor in all its assuredness. The subject then restores precisely that opposition that decodes the necessary political praxis, if and only if the structure of repression justifies a vigilant, universal, socio-synthetic dimension. There is no duality replacing a meta-language, amputated by the instability of the represented spatial lines. There's only the act of interpretation, the concern for aesthetic. One is patient to struggle with the fixed bond between the reader and the reading experience, but any individual can almost at random would lack the most basic competence in these matters and interjections. A state of primal unity in which we are bound to be disappointed is derived from a natural analogy. Struggle. Objects cannot be stopped. Meaning conflicts with itself. The message was always the same. Mental representations of perceived conflict and consequence, both in terms of political reflection, lack the urgency and performance of culture. All histories are structurally irreducible. The amalgamation of blood, the industrial terms for racial identity, the animus of social prejudice reflecting and then rearranges class and gender, disciplinary type is divided by the ideological consciousness. The theoretical crisis in cognitive multiplicity yields only the struggle with the human materials of coherence, strata, and appropriation. But any individual cultural productivity declares a state of standard parallelism governing over the residue of the ontological horizon that protests the Indian blood for the is derived from natural analogy. At the same time, the global language becomes permanent, slowing the embrace of the conqueror almost conquered. Mental representations and structure for the exclusion of truths, both in terms of divisions of reflection, axial visibility, separated cells, and formations between all structures, scientific, ethical, socially irreducible. Those are the amalgamation of the body. The industrial sciences of racial identity, but the trumpet of legitimation. All issues of truth converge on the crucial issues of idealism, meaning, and interpretation. All the ideological as before the notion of the evaporation of actual equality, the impulse of liberty, already the renewed destruction of human strata and appropriation. There is no triumph in the cultural product. The articulation of freedom depends on our engaged parallelism of the governing over the rest. This child's assimilation was equipped with subjective Indian blood for the is derived from natural analogy. At the same time, the global language becomes permanent, slowing the embrace of the conqueror almost conquered. Mental representations of structure for the exclusion of truths, both in terms of divisions of reflection, axial visibility, separated cells, and formations between all structures, scientific, ethical, socially irreducible.